recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Hello! Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And this week's guest is someone I met way back in February of 2015. I was just hired on as the new sales guy at a medical company in Scottsdale, Arizona. And this person, well, she was one of the top reps on the floor who always had a question no matter what the meeting was about. As time went on, this person and I became pretty tight due to our mutual love for 60s and 70s rock music and her hilarious dark sense of humor. And she's here today to discuss some of the topics and other fun stories from the past. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the show the one person that I know who actually really did attend Woodstock in 1969. My friend and former co-worker, the one and only Mrs. Marilyn Tams. All right, Marilyn, welcome to the show. How you been?
I've been really good, considering I've been hibernating since March.
I hear you.
I don't like to say I'm quarantined. I like to use the term sequestered.
Sequestered? Okay.
Yeah,
nobody wants to admit that they're putting Marilyn in a corner.
Yeah. But you know what?
That's dangerous.
I love working remotely.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I've been enjoying the not commuting, even though you commuted 3 minutes?
Yeah, 3 miles actually.
3 miles? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
But I love not having to worry about what I wear.
Yeah,
I love
nice.
not caring about makeup.
Yep. There you go. The list is long.
It's very long, and we're always changing at Matrix. So,
Marilyn, so how have you been enjoying this weather? Did you guys get snow out where you live?
It's funny. We didn't get snow or hail where we live, but the McDowell Mountains,
Yeah.
they were covered in snow. It was really something to see. The tops of the mountains are white.
It's pretty crazy. I got a little hail in Phoenix. We're in Phoenix. We're talking now. This is not normal. So happens, every once in a while it gets cold enough to come down with some hail.
It was unbelievable. Somebody, I laughed. They made a snowman out of all the hail.
Out of the hail?
Yes, they made it hailed
Wow.
so much where they lived. They made a snowman with a carrot nose.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's some
really
dedication
funny.
Right there.
Exactly. So how have you been?
I've been good. Just working and drinking and working and yeah. It's
that
great
sounds
life.
like a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to grab a drink, you can. No, so we've been keeping up on social media, but when's the last time I actually saw you? It's been a while.
I think the last time I saw you was when you were with your parents.
That's a long time.
You had just left that other job.
Wow. Yeah. So that's a couple of years now, or close to it. Yeah. That's wild.
Did your parents? I saw that your brother moved here, right?
He moved here, but then he got a job after he moved here back up in Seattle. So he's kind of doing the snowbird deal right there. So,
Oh, that's lucky.
yeah, right. So he's enjoying that. He's making some decent money up there, and then he's traveling back down to Phoenix for the nice weather. And then when it's time to get back up to work, then he travels back up. So it's not bad.
And how's your parents?
They're doing good. They're doing good.
They're still in Washington, though, right?
Yep. Auburn, Washington, about 20 miles south of Seattle. Yep. Doing all right.
Is that where you grew up?
Yep. I grew up in Auburn. South side.
You see where I'm from, we would say Auburn.
Yeah. Auburn. Yeah, I love it. That's one of
Auburn.
my favorite things about you is your accent. And how about your family? How are your kids holding up these days?
Well, Laura is up in Bellingham, Washington, and she is very strict about this whole COVID thing. So she's, pretty much staying home. My son
Gotcha.
works in a company where they don't believe in this whole COVID thing.
Uh-oh.
Until one of the managers, he's gotten raises there and he's a supervisor now of a department. But one of his colleagues came down with COVID, and he would say to me, "There, look at them." He would send me a photo. They're all sitting around eating, pizza, and they're all at the same table, breathing all over each other.
Wow.
He said,
really?
"Yeah, it's crazy that they don't wear masks," and so that's why I haven't seen my son.
Yeah, I don't blame you. He can quarantine on his own. Do you FaceTime him or like can he do anything?
Yeah,
okay, that's good. That's good.
We play on Zoom with my daughter and her friends. We play games through Zoom.
Awesome.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, technology has enabled us to not be so distant as far as that goes. It's like the Jetsons. They've come to life. Like we're here. We're at the Jetsons time right now.
We are the Jetsons. And I'm a lot older than you. My friend Jackie says to me, when are they going to give us that fake face that you could just put on and you look all made up?
Where's Rosie the robot? Shouldn't she be strolling in right now?
We were just talking about her because I don't want to say her name because she'll start talking to me. Alexa?
Yeah.
Alexa, off. We call her Rosie the robot when we want to talk about her.
Yeah.
But we laugh. A microwave didn't exist when I was a child.
Right.
You put something in this little teeny thing, and now I'm in love with the air fryer.
Oh,
you don't have?
I don't have one.
You must get one.
Wow.
It is
okay.
Listen, I don't cook, and Marty doesn't cook, and this has become the new toy. We can make everything in it. You don't have to deal with the oven or pan. It's so great.
Sounds amazing. Wow.
It is amazing. And it's so easy to take care of. And any one you get is fine. The one we have, we're very happy with. But, on Facebook, there's a group, for recipes. Because what do I know from a recipe? I know how to make spaghetti and meatballs. That's it.
Spaghetti and meatballs. I love your accent.
And that's using ragu sauce.
Yeah. That's awesome. So Marilyn, so we actually, just to back up a little bit, we actually met working at Matrix Medical Network. And I think that it was, when I started there, obviously, I think it was February of 2015. When did you start there?
Oh, I started August of 2014.
Okay, so good half a year before me.
I was the first class.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, I was in the class with Nicole, and who else was in that class?
I remember when you came because Shannon sat behind me, and I remember you sitting next to her.
Yes. So, yes, that was a very different workplace back then. Like lots of prizes and bonuses and group activities. It was kind of a strange kind of like place.
It was fun.
It was fun. I mean,
now it's work.
Yeah, it seemed like I've been to a couple jobs like this where it starts out and it's all positive and it's all like, hey, well, it's like new and fun and everything's like, woo, throwing like gift cards out in every direction and big giant bonuses. And then slowly,
they just take it away. I mean,
yeah.
We laugh. They gave us a gift card of Grubhub for $10. Where can you get anything? I don't even know. For $10,
and especially at like one of those online places like that. Grubhub, $10.
And I've never even used it. And I don't know. Did you know Liz?
I don't know.
She might have come just as you were leaving, or
could be.
Anyway. She says she lives, I forget, in New River. Like she said, they don't even have paved roads where she lives.
Oh, okay.
But she has like a 4,000 square foot home.
Wow.
She says, listen, they're not going to deliver to me. I have Grubhubby.
That's always the best anyways.
I know, it's hilarious.
But, you were always known for being the very outspoken one at the company there.
I still am.
You always have the questions at every single meeting that they don't even have to ask if anybody has any questions because Marilyn, you're always going to be like raising your hand or just saying whatever. But you remember that one time that I was robbed of $920 from that place?
I will never forget it. That was so wrong.
You were more angry than I was.
I was so, you just reminded me. I forgot. And it just like, My blood's boiling.
Oh, man.
Because they had some nerve for 1 month. One month out of how many years they changed an algorithm and you got fucked.
Yeah, they changed it. They changed it to what it was like the top, what was it, like the top 20 people bonus? And that month, every single person at the other place in Florida, they bonused, and not one of our team did.
And you had the most of everything.
So remember that it was like Shannon was on vacation in Hawaii for like a couple weeks. So I was the one time that I actually won first prize. First prize. I won number 1 out of the entire company. Well, in Scottsdale. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. So then they're like, hey, here's your here's your prize. And I'm like,
here's your swag bag.
Yeah, thanks for the crystal trophy here. That's Shannon has like 10,000 of these on her desk.
You know what? When we went home, they said, "Aren't you going to take these home?" I said, "No."
What is it? It's like they're worth something. They're not worth anything. They're just like a piece of glass.
I don't need these dust collectors in my house. You know, what are you kidding me? Right. They annoy me on my desk.
Yeah. I think at the tail end of when I was there, Shannon was boxing them up, and there was like literally like 2 full boxes of those things. Like, what are you supposed to do with all these? I don't know. They're not worth anything.
She has them there also.
Gotcha.
That's what made me have the nerve to leave them there. Because I figured if they, what are they going to say? I said, look, hers are there. Hers are under the desk. Why can't mine stay under the desk? I had a big bin. Otherwise, do what you want with it. I don't want it, They just sent us cameras. So when we have huddles now, it'll be a Zoom meeting with a camera.
Oh, gotcha. Are you thrilled about that?
Oh, I'm thrilled. I said, well, as long as I have notice. So, Steve was so funny. Steve says, I guess I'm going to have to buy a new bathrobe.
Steve, good old Steve. Yeah.
He's great.
I need to have him on the show too. He has a lot of stories. But yeah,
if you had both of us together, you wouldn't know what to do.
I know.
You would flip out.
But speaking of Steve, you're from New York.
Yes.
What part of New York are you from?
Well, it's part of New York City. It's one of the 5 boroughs. I'm from Queens.
Oh,
which
the King
is
of Queens.
Closer. There's parts that are right next to Manhattan, parts that are right next to Long Island.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was closer to Long Island, but I worked in the city. That's what New Yorkers call Manhattan. It's referred to as the city. It's not referred to as Manhattan.
Gotcha.
That's how I know I've lived out here too long. I'll say Manhattan. I'll go, what? What did I just say?
That was one of the things that I loved working aside you, is the fact that I could always ask everything about New York, and you were happy to discuss it.
Yeah.
So, didn't you mention to me one time that your first kiss was like someone famous or something like that? Or didn't you tell me?
No.
Something
I'll tell
weird.
you what you're thinking of.
Okay.
The first black man I've ever kissed was Reginald Bell Johnson. He was in Die Hard.
Oh.
He was the father in Family Matters.
No way. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I skipped in school. So he was older than me, and, schools were being integrated when I was in high school.
Oh, that's funny.
And he was a really nice guy and a funny guy and whatever. And I remember we kissed, and he made a comment about, I could never bring a white girl home. And I looked at him, I said, you think my parents would be happy?
Because you're Jewish, right? You grew up Jewish?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's so funny. So, did he look the same as he did, back in whenever that was?
Well, he was young, he was thin.
Okay, gotcha.
And he was very good looking, and he was Reggie.
That's awesome.
We didn't know anything about anybody named Bell Johnson. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny.
But no, he was a really nice guy. He really is.
Awesome.
And
that's funny.
Yeah,
so.
I also went to school with Ron Jeremy.
Oh, Ron
There was
Jeremy.
a time I was proud to say it. Now I'm embarrassed to say it because of all the.
He's like he's always been creepy. He's always been creepy, right?
I'm going to give you a Yiddish word.
Uh-oh.
It's called mishigas. Before all the craziness he got into, the mishigas.
He was a pretty good-looking guy back in the day, wasn't he?
No, he was never good looking.
Oh, okay.
He was thin. He was,
Yeah.
And he was funny. And his goal was really to be a legitimate actor. It didn't work out for him. He had assets elsewhere, so he pursued that.
Right.
But,
he had other talents.
The only other famous person I went to high school with, he was the head of the CIA, I believe under Bush, George Tenet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
All
so they went
graduates from Cardozo High School.
Cardozo High School. Nice.
Yeah.
Is that the same high school that John Travolta went to in Welcome Back, Kotter?
I thought he was from Brooklyn.
I don't know. I'm just joking. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
My school was too new.
Oh, it was?
When I went to Cardozo, it was brand new. It had just been built like a year or two before me.
Gotcha. Is it still around?
Yeah, it
Awesome.
is.
Nice.
It is.
Do you ever go back and visit?
It's funny. A friend of mine an acquaintance who happens to live in Chandler.
Yeah.
We were friends in high school. She went off to college. I got married. I never saw her. We ended up, thanks to Facebook. I haven't seen her yet.
Yeah.
Okay. She put up a post. She's so upset that because of COVID, they canceled the 50-year anniversary of high school. So it makes you feel really old. Okay.
Right.
And I said to her, really? I never ever thought about going back for a visit because I was in college at 16. How long was I even in high school?
Right.
In my day, you went to junior high school till 9th grade. High school started in 10th grade. We had a school strike that year. We were out of school for 3 months.
Wow.
Of 10th grade. Then I had 11th grade, and then I graduated in December of 12th grade. It was really, it wasn't even 1971.
That's wild.
Yeah, so I was 16 years old. I was already in college.
So now, Marilyn, just so we don't skip over this part, or before we move on to the next segment of your life here, I want to talk about a little event known as Woodstock.
That was something.
Yeah. So now you've told me some awesome stories about this, but just to, explain a little bit to the children out there what Woodstock is. It's not only the most famous music festival in history, but it's also one of the biggest of the era. It took place in August of 1969. Do I have that right?
Correct.
And spanned 3.5 days. 50,000 people were expected to show up.
Exactly, with tickets.
And then
with tickets to see the show.
And then over 400,000 people, who knows at what point they stopped counting, who knows. But whatever,
it was
500,000.
Unbelievable. And it took weeks for everyone to come and go.
Oh,
sounds
like it.
The festival was unbelievable because there was no violence. With all those people
amazing.
Stepping all over each other.
I don't think it's ever been done again. I mean, when can you ever say that? There was no reported intentional violence at that place. It was truly all peace and love and all that good stuff.
It really, really was. And I got such a kick out of, I think we've all seen that magazine cover of the couple.
Yeah.
Under a blanket, and they're still together.
I love that. They did a story it was a couple years ago. I was still there working with you, and you were talking about going back to Woodstock for the 50th or whatever because they were just planning kind of to do something. We
were planning to go. Okay, I'll be honest. I lost my brother that summer.
Oh yeah.
And I just couldn't. There's just no way I can go to that festival without him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they had a concert up there it was called we called it Bethel, but now they say Bethel.
Mm-hmm.
It was never in Woodstock, New York. That's just what it was called. But it was the most amazing thing because there were so many people on top of each other, literally sharing everything, whether it was food, water, drugs. They just shared whatever they had. And it was your choice whether you participated, But nobody forced you to do anything. It really was the nicest thing. Music was playing.
So cool.
People were nice.
So who did you go with to the show? You said you went there with
Well,
one of your friends, right?
a lot of friends. In the summer, we would go upstate for the summer. So I lived about 3 miles. So I
That's so
was too
crazy.
young to be able to sleep there. I had to go home at night
Yeah.
because you could walk it. Well, my friend from the city came up, and I went with my friends from the same summer cottages. They were called bungalow colonies where we stayed.
Mm-hmm.
So there were about, I would say, 8 of us. And it was so funny running into people from like school, like, what are
Right.
you doing here? We're 14, 15 years old,
Yeah.
And it was just, so it was a lot of fun. Some people, we ended up not seeing for like days after the festival, because people you could do whatever you wanted to. And there was
So
nobody judging you. There
you
was bad acid going around.
don't eat
that-
brown acid or something like that, right? Wasn't that what they were saying?
It was, something. They kept making announcements. If you got it, they had tents all over. They really did their very best to help anyone who was ill. But it's something that just can't be duplicated. And all these festivals, whether it's Coachella or whatever, it can never be duplicated what Woodstock was, because I bought a 3-day pass. Okay. I had 3 days
Mm-hmm.
because, like you said, they were expecting 50,000. We had 500,000 people. Nobody took our tickets. It was just a free for all, and it was as peaceful as it gets. And back where I lived, people took, like I said, it took forever till the crowd stopped. We were just constantly giving water and food and shelter,
Mm-hmm.
just helping all the hippies.
Now you have some interesting stories about how I think, is it going there or coming back, or because you had a traumatic experience where,
Yes,
coming
home.
So okay. So I don't know if you were able to drive up or if it was already a roadblock at that time and you just had to
No,
walk like
it
everybody
was
else.
walking.
Okay.
I was able to walk.
So you just walked the entire time because you live a couple miles down the road.
I walked until I broke my ankle.
So bad. So how did you break your ankle? What did you roll it on something or what?
Well, I had never used a porta potty in my life.
Okay. Uh-oh.
And my mother, the last thing she said to me before I went to this festival was, no matter what, don't use them. They're full of disease. Go in your pants if you have to.
Oh, gosh.
Now, I'm sharing a blanket with strangers, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go in my pants, right? So I go to this thing, porta potty, whatever. I do my business. When I'm done, I forget that I had to step up to get into the thing.
Oh, no.
I just walked out.
Oh,
And
no.
remember, I'm sure you've seen pictures of all the rain.
Yeah.
Well, I go down, it's all mud. My ankle just twisted out from under me. And if I tell you how nice the people were, they saw me walking, I was like hobbling to find my way back, and I have no sense of direction. 2 people literally made like a seat.
Mm-hmm.
They grabbed hands and said, just sit here. They walked me back to my place. They took me to this first tent where literally that's where you go if you need a Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had like a go-kart they put me in, and they took me to a trailer where a real doctor supposedly was. They didn't know what to do with me. They almost helicoptered me out.
Wow.
So I said, you know what? Let me call my parents,
Right.
So because my father's friend was a fisherman, he knew all these little back roads that nobody knew.
Whoa.
So what normally would take about 5-6 minutes to get to me still took them about an hour.
Wow.
Well, they get me. It took us 11 hours to get home.
Oh my goodness. Wait, so how long was this this is like not
The
far
first
into the
night.
show, right? Okay, gotcha. So,
So now it's
so
the
terrible.
second day. I'm still in the car.
Right. And then you said that there was this was an experience you were talking about on the way home where it was some weird experience you had on the way home. I can't remember what it was, but I just remember you were telling me at one time and I was just like fascinated with your story of just on the way home. It was like a interesting story.
Well, at the time, women going braless was new.
Yeah.
And so one of my father's friends, he couldn't control himself.
Oh no.
And whether my father copped a look or not, or his other good friend looked or not, you didn't know. They were gentlemen. This one man, my friend Wendy and I, we thought his head was going to fall off. He couldn't get enough of the view. It was so funny.
Now, did you say one of your friends went with you?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, she was with me. I felt terrible for her. She got stuck with me. But we still kid around about it,
Yeah. Yeah. So gosh, there were so many famous acts there. The fact that you got to experience any of it is amazing. And you still have the ticket stub, right?
Oh, yeah. I have it hanging. I have the poster.
That's so awesome.
I have the original magazine. I have to thank my father for the poster and everything, because I'm not like that. But my father went and had it framed for me.
So great.
That's because he found it rolled up in my room after I got married.
Oh, wow. So wait, this is not like a reprint of a poster. This is like an actual
original poster.
Oh, that is amazing. Yeah. So you have
original poster.
You have the poster with the
tickets.
Oh, that is so cool. That is awesome.
And the tickets just are perforated, and you could see they're not even ripped apart.
Wow.
Because nobody took them.
That is so great. I love it. So, how old were you in? So you
I was
14?
I'm not shy about it. I was 15.
Okay.
My friend was 14. She hadn't even turned 15 yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the other people we were with were 14, 13, 12. I mean, they were young.
Yeah.
We were walking distance. Who knew I was
awesome.
going to fall?
Yeah. Oh. Do you have any pictures from it, or have you ever found footage of you there or anything like that?
It's such a shame. In those days, you didn't take pictures.
I know. I was just going to say, it's a kind of a stupid question because, nobody
Some
carried
people
around.
did.
Yeah. But it's not like today. There's like 10,000 pictures of every moment of your life.
It's chronicled.
Yeah.
People who've never met me, I know everything about them.
Right.
Oh, wow, look at you. You grew into a handsome young man. I remember when you were a little fat ball.
So the next day, you just you're not able to go back or anything like that. Even if you had a
couldn't even get to a doctor.
Oh.
Couldn't get to. But where we lived, we could still hear the music.
Oh, wow. That is so crazy.
And we had the experience because, most people couldn't even get there.
Yeah.
So there were cars just, stopped in the road. And those people were sleeping on the ground wherever. So even though I slept inside, when I came out in the morning, there was a ton of people.
That's so wild.
And it was. And everybody was nice. It really was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that's so cool. They really went into that with that documentary that they came out with a couple of years ago. I think you said you saw it, right? I mean, you've probably seen pretty much everything about that moment. But they were just talking about how communal everything was and how together everyone was, and no one was, like you mentioned before, it was all peaceful and everything like that.
It really was. And when I was injured, people couldn't do enough to help me. They couldn't do enough. Really, it was an unbelievable thing.
That's amazing. So you were a teenager. Were you looking forward to see one act in particular more than the rest, or was there sure there was? You just wanted to go for the event.
For the event, for the experience.
Right. That's awesome.
Because I could. Who knew what it was going to turn into?
It's funny you say that because I literally just saw a clip the other day, and a guy, he said the exact same thing. He's like, I'm here for the experience, man. Like, he was just like, now you go specifically to see a band, but
Yeah, no, it was nothing like that. It was just, I didn't even know half the names of them till afterwards.
Yeah, well, because a lot of them, it made a lot of these bands, so like I was reading that it was Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young, but he's not in the film because he yelled at the camera guys or something like that. But but that was like their second performance ever together. That's amazing because they sound great during that thing. That's awesome.
And it opened with Richie Havens.
Yes. Yeah. And they said that he was like, I ran out of songs. They kept telling me to play. And I was like, I don't have any other songs to play. So he just made up that Freedom song. Freedom!
Really?
Yeah, that's what he said. I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. So yeah.
That's talent.
Yeah, right. It's probably his most recognizable song.
It really is. You're 100% right.
Yeah, but there's like, gosh, there was, I was reading up on some of the, actually some of the artists themselves were talking about their performances there, and the Grateful Dead were like, it's probably our worst performance ever. And
They sucked. Everybody sucked. The sound sucked. It was raining.
Right.
But nobody cared.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I was too young to be doing drugs, okay?
Yeah.
But most of the people were. And they were having a blast, and they could care less, and
Yeah.
and it was an experience.
Passing around bottles of wine and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wine, joints, you name it, bad acid, good acid,
Right.
Amphetamines, they called it crystal blue persuasion. You've heard the song?
Oh, I love that song.
Now you
Tommy
know what
James.
it's about.
Yep. Don't forget the Shondells. Tommy James and the Shondells.
And the Shondells. Can never forget the Shondells.
So in honor of our little Woodstock moment here, I thought I'd throw out some random facts about Woodstock. So, and you could comment on these. I'm encouraging this because you probably already know a lot of these anyway. So, but
You'd be
again,
surprised how little I know.
that sounds like everybody that was at Woodstock.
Well, that means I had a good time.
Exactly. Except for the broken, ankle, but hey,
You know what? I was
still had a
walking
good time.
by the time I went to the doctor.
Great.
I was already walking. What's the point? What are you going to do? Re-break it?
I don't know.
Just get me over to the road. I want to give
Yeah.
people water. I want to be part of the fun. Who cares about my foot?
So yeah, so the U.S. Army airlifted thousands of pounds of food, water, and medical supplies to the crowd, who was largely filled with anti-Vietnam protesters. I was like, yeah.
Isn't that something?
I think part of that is because of, they declared a state of emergency after like the first day or something like that. They're like, okay, this is getting out of hand here. So people are starting to, not have food and stuff. So I think they kind of had to do that after the declared
They had to.
emergency.
Look how many people there were. It was a national emergency.
Exactly. So, and like you said before, there was no reports of physical violence during the festival, but there was a concession stand that attempted to take advantage of the food shortage there, and they reportedly raised their prices on hamburgers from 25 cents to $1, which is outrageous back then.
I remember when I broke my foot, my friend Wendy had gone to get food, and she bought hot dogs.
Ooh.
I don't remember us commenting on the food, probably because of my foot.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But I'll have to ask her.
Well, she might not remember that because in retaliation, the crowd burned down that place. So don't take advantage of people.
If you ask me.
So anyway, that wasn't direct an assault of any sort, but and there were 3 deaths. So 2 from drug overdoses.
Can't help that. Yeah.
And then one guy who was actually ran over by a tractor, but it was an accident. They didn't see him sleeping underneath, and they rolled over him, I guess. So that wasn't really the guy's fault.
That was
So
it's an accident.
there's a lot of people there. He's like, oh man, it's like raining. I'm gonna sleep under this nice warm tractor. A little shelter here.
Yeah, but leave something out there so they know you're there. Like an arrow.
Oh, you're expecting some guy that's all high and drunk to like sit there and make good decisions.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, shade, quick.
Yeah.
It's dry under there.
A couple more here. Tens of thousands of vehicles, and I'm sure you could attest to this, of guests were parked as far as 20 miles away from the site of the festival.
Oh, without question.
20
And they were there
miles.
for weeks.
Yeah, because like what everyone they started just like leaving their cars on the street and just walking.
Exactly.
So wild.
And then until they came back, you could come back and you're behind them. You're stuck.
Yeah. Years later, who is the famous farmer?
Max.
Yes. Can you imagine? He's like, well, I got to get out of here. I guess I won't be leaving for a few days.
You should see how gorgeous and lush it is now. So all gorgeous and green. And, I went there a few years ago.
I saw this archaeological video where these guys came back and they're trying to, because it's just all, like you said, it's beautiful grass, greenery. And they were like, were trying to find out where the exact location of the stage was because this is a very historical place now, you know?
We know.
Yeah. And they mapped out like kind of like where the actual stage was and everything. And then you could look out, you know, to where the crowd was because it's kind of like, you know, up on a hill. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool seeing that.
It is. And it was fun going back going, wow, this is where it all happened. And, you know, and it's all empty.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, it's really something.
Yeah. It's one of the most iconic. Well, it is the most iconic concert like of all time. Even, you know, it doesn't matter where it is. It's like, that was the most iconic. They tried to like redo it with the Stones. What was that, like a year or two after that? And it was like a disaster when they had who's the bikers, Hell's Angels. Yeah. Jesus, that was horrible. Yeah. Not the same. Not the same. You're aware of the performer Melanie who did that song Brand New Key?
I've got a brand new pair of roller skates.
Exactly.
I got a brand new pair of roller skates.
So she was at Woodstock and she was only 19 at the time and not a very well-known name. And she, I didn't even know I was reading about this. This is hilarious. So she was a folk singer who was not given a VIP pass to the show. So she had to sing to the security guards in order to convince them that she was actually scheduled to be on stage performing. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This thing was so like, everyone's just scrambling around doing stuff. I remember I saw this clip of John Sebastian who performed there, but he was not supposed to be performing there. He was not on the bill. And they saw him down below and they're like, well, we need to kill some time here. Hey, there's John Sebastian down in the audience. Hey, you want to come up and sing? And he's like, sure. And they like just took a guitar and started doing a couple songs. I was like, dude, that's so awesome. That is so crazy.
It is. It really was.
God, so amazing.
It was just a very unusual time and a more innocent time.
Yeah.
You know, people were just coming of age and you weren't afraid of the person standing next to you.
And some of the greatest music ever made. And I wasn't alive when that music, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, by the way, is when people go, I go, hey, have you heard this? Or, hey, have you seen that? They're like, how would I know that? I wasn't even born yet. And I go, how dare you? Have you ever heard of Abraham Lincoln? Have you ever heard of JFK? Yeah, they weren't around either. So, yeah, no.
What year were you born?
I was born in 1976.
Oh, okay.
You know, this is like 6 years after.
7 years later.
Yeah, 7 years later. So, and then the last one here. So the last song of the festival was the famous Star Spangled Banner performed by Jimi Hendrix. And he reportedly earned $18,000 for that. In today's money, it's $127,000 for his performance. But it's funny because only a third of the people even got to see that because, you know, it was on a Monday morning. Everyone's like, all right, time to go back to work. Everyone's leaving and stuff. And I was like,
you know what? No, they didn't because you couldn't get out.
Right, exactly. Or they're just walking home. I don't know. That's crazy.
Couldn't get out.
Yeah.
There was still people trying to get up there. You know, there was traffic in all directions.
That's so wild.
And it took, I'm not kidding when I say it took 2 weeks for the roads to clear for me to get seen by a doctor.
Wow.
There was no point at that point. Yeah, 2 weeks for the traffic to clear.
Wow.
It was but it was great. And yeah, some people, you know, like friends of mine that were older, I didn't see them for weeks after the party, you know, because they did acid for the first time and loved it. Never saw them again, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Marilyn, I always like hearing how people met each other. How did you meet your husband? Because I think that's kind of a interesting story as well. How did that all come about? How did you meet him?
Well, I made a prank phone call to him. There was someone else with the first name of Marty that I had wanted to go out with. And a friend of mine knew him, but I needed his phone number. So I called another friend and said, could you give me so-and-so's phone number? And she said, no, he's a jerk. Why don't you call Marty Tams? I'm like, who? I don't even know who that is.
That is hilarious.
And she said, oh, it'll be funny. He's just don't say my name. Don't say any, you know, don't give your real name. Make a prank phone call. We used to call them phony phone calls.
Right.
And this is pre-star 69 or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Caller ID. So I called him. I said my name was Susan. And he was a really nice guy. And I, said, and he still is. He just chimed in. And
hey, Marty.
And I was 15. And I said, do you remember me? And he started naming every place in his life that he couldn't possibly know me from. And anyway, he was a really nice guy. I said, no, okay, take care, goodbye. I called up Debbie, my friend who told me to call him.
Mm-hmm.
I said, listen, I'm calling him back. I'm telling him the truth. You better not. I'll never talk to you again. I said, I can't help it. I can't lie to this guy. He's too nice. I just can't do it. And I called him back, told him who I really was. We were on the phone for a couple hours until he lived out of my area. I wasn't really supposed to be on that phone line.
Yeah.
And I hear my parents' key in the door. And I said, oh, my parents are home. I got to go. And we said goodbye, didn't exchange phone numbers or anything. And that was that. Then a few days later, I was sleeping at a friend's house, the same one from Woodstock, I might add. And it was a Sunday night, and I get a phone call from Debbie. You have to go home. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, Marty called David, who called me to get your phone number, and Marty's going to call you tonight. I'm like, I'm not taking a bus to get home because Marty may call me. Give me his phone number. I'll call him.
Yeah.
So I did. And that was it. We met the next day, and we were on the phone till 2 a.m. I cut school, and I met him the next day.
And you cut school.
And that was it.
Now, is he older than you, or are you guys the same?
Just by 2 years.
2 years. Okay, gotcha. All right, so you guys are pretty close.
He also was in the same academic program as me, graduated young, not as young as me because he graduated in June, where I graduated in January. And
your husband, he's a musician.
Yes, he is.
He's a lifelong
he was always
musician.
a guitarist, lead guitar and vocalist and band leader.
Awesome.
His forte is really, in my opinion, reading a crowd and making them do whatever he wants them to, dancing wise.
That's awesome. And you guys had like a kind of like a business for a while doing
for 25 years,
dances and stuff, right? 25 years.
Limelight Music and Entertainment.
That's awesome.
And
is it still around? You still do anything with that?
Actually, we just decided, with this pandemic and everything, we're done.
You're done?
We closed the website. We closed the phone number down. Certain people still will contact us.
Yeah.
Well, right now we're not doing anything.
That's an amazing run. 25 years. That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's
if it wasn't for the pandemic, we'd still be up strong. But
That's awesome. And I love seeing pictures of your place because it looks like a music store. Like inside guitars and microphones and stuff like that.
2 pianos, a baby grand,
it's crazy.
And a stand-up.
Yeah. So how many instruments does your husband play? He's primarily guitar, like you said, but does he play like other instruments as well?
He plays guitar, any keyboard, anything you don't blow into, really.
Gotcha.
We used to have a set of drums here. He ended up giving them to somebody. Yeah, he could play anything.
That's awesome.
He teaches everything. Drums, guitar, keyboard, piano.
I could play the tambourine and the maraca. What do you think of that?
I'm really good at the kazoo.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're kind of like in the same boat. Okay. So when did you move to Arizona? What made you move to Arizona?
Well, my in-laws had moved here. We started visiting it, and I'll tell you the truth, I hated it. It was so bright and white, and these privacy walls, I hated. In New York, you walk next door, they're throwing a barbecue, you throw a burger on. It's not a big deal, and I hated it. And on our third visit here, I experienced something I had never experienced before. I was in a park with my son. I was petting a horse. This was on 15th Avenue in Glendale. My in-laws lived around there. Mm-hmm. And I'm petting this horse. I'm feeding it because you could just pick up the grass and feed it to them. And I'm watching my son run, just run.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow, look how far away from me he is. And I'm not nervous.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over that feeling. And that day I went back to my in-laws' house and I told my husband, we really need to move here.
Wow.
This is really where our children should grow up. And we had a couple of years worth of contracts.
Mhm.
You know, my husband, people would call and schedule him, hire him the minute they got the date of their event. So
Gotcha.
it came to the same friend, the friend Wendy, the sister-in-law was making a party and they were planning it for 1988 and called and asked if Marty could play it. And this was still 1986.
Oh my goodness.
And I said,
that's
you know
that's
what,
quite
Marty?
a booking there.
All our bookings were 2 years in advance.
That's crazy. Wow.
At least. And I said, you know what, Marty? We need to make a decision. Either we book this job and we stay here. We stay in New York. We had a nice house on Long Island, you know, 4-bedroom, split level house. I said, we either just, you know, book the job and stay here, or we turn it down and we make the plan to move.
Wow.
And we turned it down and decided to move.
So you ended up out here in 87 or 80?
Well, actually, it was still 86.
Oh, okay.
December 86.
Wow.
I moved into my house Christmas Eve day.
Crazy. And you've been here ever since?
My daughter, and I was pregnant with Laura. She was born in March of 87.
Wow.
Out here.
Can I book you for 2023?
You can't afford me, pal.
Oh yeah, you know how much I make. All right, so I'd love hearing your old stories about working in the 70s. Those were probably some of my favorite stories about you back in the day. And I don't know how this topic came up. I think that I had just seen the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, and I had not discovered, I've heard about them, but they explained it pretty well in the movie that they discovered a stash of Quaaludes or something like that, or they had access to Quaaludes. And then you chimed in. You chimed in.
I had no idea where you're going with this.
No,
like,
you.
why is he bringing up the Wolf?
You chime in, because like I just remember I was literally just talking about the movie and Quaaludes came up, and I think Zeke was talking about it or something like that, and then you're like, oh, let me tell you a little bit about Quaaludes or something like that, and I was like, oh really? And like, and then you were talking about how like a place that we were at. You know, kind of like a call center-y kind of place, you know, like, yeah, you're like, I worked at one of those places back in the day, and you're like, it was a lot different back then. And I was like, oh,
Yes.
really? Oh, really? Yeah. And you were just telling like some stories about that. Like, so was working back, you still laughing over here, was working back in the day, was it the same as it is right now, like where you are now?
Well, you were not micromanaged. Let's put it that way.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it was a lot more fun.
Well, technology was different.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't have computers. Everything was done with paper and a pen. And yeah, you had your own little desk.
Mm-hmm.
There were no cubicles. You had a desk. See, this is the beauty of call centers. They never interfered with my entertainment company, ever.
Gotcha.
And in New York, they never ran you more than a 4-hour shift.
Oh, wow.
Because they thought you got burnt out after 4 hours.
Oh,
so you'd
not
have
all
a
wrong.
4-hour shift. You weren't allowed out of your seat unless you had to either go to the bathroom or to get coffee. So guess who learns how to drink coffee? So I never had a cup of coffee in my life before that job.
Oh, that's funny.
So anyway, yeah, we'd have our own phone. We could call the same people back, and you could be as mean as you wanted. They didn't care.
What kind of job was this? Were you guys selling something? What were you selling, or what were you doing there?
What were we selling? Let's see. We were calling businesses and selling things with their imprint on it.
Mm.
So
okay.
Let's say you wanted keychains that said number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We would sell you, say 100 of them. Let's say they're normally 30 cents a piece. We'd be selling you them for $2 a piece. However, if you bought these many, you got a free this,
Yeah.
You were looking for a purchasing agent on the take. That's really what that business was about.
Gotcha.
And,
okay.
Yeah, so it was, they didn't care. You could be high.
As long as you were making the company money, they didn't care.
As long as you were selling, people would come out of jail. The place was being filled with old Jewish ladies to drug addicts.
Right.
You know, it didn't matter. The ad read, if you can talk and chew gum at the same time, this job is for you.
Oh, wow. You're going to sign me up.
And the hours was 7 a.m. till 11 a.m.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
How great is that?
That sounds amazing.
And I was a great salesperson, you know?
Yeah.
So I'd make a lot of money.
You definitely have the gift of gab. That's for sure.
Yes, I do. And I realize it is a gift.
Remember they would always do like, Marilyn, you need to wrap up your calls a little bit. You're like, I'm sorry, I like to talk.
You know
so
what?
Funny.
They don't even say that to me anymore.
Oh, do they?
They know better.
They know better.
Because you know what? The minute you start micromanaging me I said, you feel free to jump in anytime. And you tell me, I said, for 6 years, 7 years, I've been asking everyone, help me. I don't know how to be rude. I don't know how to jump in and stop someone from telling me their life story. I just don't know how.
Right.
And I said, ask Bonnie. Bonnie sat with me a whole day. I said, you know, why courting? Mm-hmm. I said, give me a nudge. You tell me when I can jump in here to end this call.
Right.
She looked at me. She goes, you can't.
Yeah, if you're talking, especially if you're talking to seniors and stuff like that, you know? And like, it was like one of those things where in training, they would talk about how, you know, some of these people, they don't talk to people for like an entire week. And then you call and then they're like, you know, hey, oh my God, it's someone to talk to.
They're so happy.
Yeah.
They're so happy to have someone to talk to. And you know what? For the way the bonus structure has changed, I don't care.
Right.
I'm happier. You know, it's all about member experience. So you know what? Yeah. I'm giving them great member experience. Oh, you mean I was on the phone 30 minutes? Oops.
Exactly.
So what? I didn't get 3 declines in the meantime.
Now, you and Shannon actually came from the same company.
Correct. If it weren't for her, I would never have even heard of Matrix.
Okay. So
I wasn't even looking for a job.
Okay.
She got in a fight, quit, and then took me with her.
Well, but you kind of sort of, without yachting the best part. What was that place that you came from? What kind of business was that? You said that it was kind of like a sketchy kind of place where you said that it ended kind of weird.
Kind of about it. Okay. I didn't know. I just answered the phone.
Yeah.
People would get something in the mail that would say, hey, you know, call this number, get free airline tickets. Mm-hmm. So in order to get the free airline tickets, you had to attend a presentation of a travel agency.
Okay.
What they were selling were travel clubs. Okay. I didn't know any of this. I just knew they had to go see a presentation. They got a free round trip tickets. I had no idea the hoops they had to jump through to get these free tickets.
Oh boy.
And that they had to, you know, take a flight at 4 a.m. and then change planes, you know, in another state. And now Shannon was in a different department, so she knew a lot more than I did. I only worked there. Like,
are you throwing Shannon under the bus right now? I'm just joking.
No, not at all.
I'm just kidding.
We were in different departments.
Something crazy happened at the end of that place. From what I heard, it was a couple of you that worked there, right? I mean, it was a couple of people that came to Matrix after that.
There was 4. Well, there were more of us, but they don't work at Matrix anymore.
Gotcha.
What happened was the place was raided.
That is wild.
By the feds.
It really is like the Wolf of Wall Street. Like.
Okay, except there were no Quaaludes.
Not at that one.
No, it was
so funny.
Wrong decade.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Anyway, yeah, we were raided, and we had to give up our pocketbooks. This is how Shannon and I met.
That is so crazy.
You know? And they took our bags and everything. This is when I went back to smoking. I had quit smoking for 5 years. We were locked in. And the people who smoked, they let 3 at a time go out, have a cigarette, and come back.
No
So
way.
I said, oh, yeah, I smoke. And I took somebody, you know, I grubbed one and I had a cigarette and then I started smoking again.
Oh, great.
But it's over a year since I quit.
Oh, again? You quit again?
Oh, yeah, December 8th, 2019.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I think my dad's trying to quit too, but.
I don't even have a desire.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because it's not good for
I'm
you.
telling you, I think I had COVID before we knew about COVID.
Anyway, I've heard of a couple of people that said that. By the way,
I had every. But if I had it, so did all of Matrix because I was really sick.
Oh no!
And I only missed 1 day of work.
Wow.
But I was in urgent care. I couldn't breathe. You know, that's the day I quit smoking.
Oh really? Oh wow.
Yeah, my oxygen level was real low.
Ugh.
But anyway, getting back to tier 3.
Yeah.
So the feds come, and the person they were looking for didn't even work out of this location. And the reason they wanted him is we were using in our ads the Delta logo without permission from Delta.
God. Yeah.
That's why the feds were there. But it's really weird. You're working and they come in flashing badges with whistles, and they're all in,
that is insane.
Olive green uniforms, U.S. Marshals.
Wow.
Leave your bags, leave your phones. And
holy crap. Did it seem like you were in a movie?
I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. What's going on here?
That is completely insane. Wow.
And then the owner, now see, they know a lot more. They knew.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know the people that owned the place. I didn't know any of that.
Right.
But the owner came in and he started fighting with the Marshall people, grabbed all our stuff, started giving us back all our phones and everything.
Whoa.
You have no right in here to do this to these employees. They have nothing to do. It was something.
Wow. That is
crazy.
Wow.
It was very interesting. They ended up closing. I had given 2 weeks notice and they were laughing. I'm the first person who ever gave notice. But they owed me a bonus and I wasn't going to leave without getting it. So I gave them notice and then and that was July. And then I went to work there at Matrix in mid-August.
That story is awesome. I love that story. I mean, probably wasn't great for you to go through in the present time, but it's funny to look back at. It's funny to hear about.
It was funny then too, because who could believe it? You know? Like what's going on here?
Right? Sounds nuts.
This is in North Scottsdale. What is going on? Now that building is Tesla.
That is wild. Well, Marilyn, I know you have to go, but I do have a couple of quick questions here for you. So,
sure.
Speaking of the crazy moments like that, have you ever had a near-death experience?
No. Never.
Okay. What's the worst injury you've ever had besides breaking your ankle at Woodstock?
As I'm aging, new things are cropping up. I've never had a real injury. I fell once over my dog and I got stitches under my chin that like you've never even seen.
Gosh.
But I've knock wood.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog do you have?
Oh, just like a part. She was a mix.
Little mutt?
She was a mutt, but she was the best. She was part German Shepherd, part Chow, part Lab.
Wow, that is
part Coyote.
Wow.
Part Jewish.
And just going back to our music. What's the first concert you ever went to? Do you remember?
I believe it was Canned Heat.
Canned Heat?
Whoa. Yeah. Wait a minute. I think I was about 13.
They played at Woodstock, didn't they?
I don't know. They were supposed to. But this was Canned Heat and Rhinoceros.
Whoa.
And they were playing upstate New York at this hotel.
Yeah.
And long story short, one band I think Canned Heat didn't show up. People stormed the stage after Rhinoceros went on. I don't even have to do anything in chaos.
Jeez, it sounds like it. Gosh. Wow. Well, Marilyn, I just want to say that it's been awesome having you on the show. I want to thank you for coming on to talk about all your fun, crazy stories. Oh, I know you do. Tell everyone at Matrix, who's still at Matrix, that I said hello, and I miss the people. I miss the people, not necessarily the job.
It's funny how few people are left.
Oh, really? Is it still
that you would even know?
Oh, really?
I'm trying to think. Steve. Shannon.
Yeah.
Linda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know Liz. But Demetria.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Other than that, I don't think that there's Julian One.
Oh, okay. Yep. I worked with them at Ravana.
The other place, right?
Yep.
And Do you remember that little girl, Amy?
Amy.
She's real tiny.
I'm not sure.
Amy Thomas. She was real little. She and Juan, they make appointments for COVID tests for ESPN and Disney.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, they work 2 days a week doing that. Matrix has bought over 2 labs in Maryland. They'll be doing testing. They'll be buying. You'll see. It's going to be a Matrix world.
Crazy. Well, maybe when all this COVID stuff has officially come to an end, maybe I could go meet you at that little diner for a drink and in person.
Or you could come over to my house.
I could. If I keep my distance and we're.
Hey, once I'm vaccinated, don't matter. We'll still wear masks.
No, once I'm vaccinated, you're vaccinated.
I guess even if we still wear a mask, so we'll sit at opposite ends of the table in the backyard.
Or I could sit at your right next to your guitar pool.
There you go.
I love that. You guys have a guitar pool. That's amazing.
Yeah, and maybe if it's hot enough, you'll go in.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, hey, Marilyn, thanks again.
You're very welcome. You have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. All right.
Bye-bye.
Later. Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends podcast. If you have any questions or comments about today's show, feel free to leave a message in the comment section below. If you enjoy listening to the podcast, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow the show. And check out some of the video clips posted on YouTube and Facebook. I'm Josh, and thank you for being a friend.